Welcome everyone, I'm Luminous Dark and I'm here to bring you a guitar lesson on sweep picking. Before we start, I'd like to thank this person right here. They left a lovely comment on Instagram, which goes as follows. Awesome brother, could you possibly do a lesson on basic sweep picking exercises? Of course I can, brother, and that's why we're here today. Before we start, I need you to have the following with you. A guitar pick, a tuner, and a metronome. The next thing that I want you to bring to the table is the following. You need to have determination. You really have to want to learn this. You have to have the motivation and be determined to want to learn this. You need to have discipline. I don't want you to practice this only once a week after watching this video. I want you to develop a routine to practice every day a little bit and have that routine going. Don't skip on the routine. Patience. All good things come with time. If you rush this, it's just gonna sound bad. And if you have all these three qualities, you will have a successful practice session, which will in turn fill up your XP bar, and you will go from 0 to guitar hero and reach that next skill level. At the end of this lesson, you will have learned a 3-string sweep picking exercise. Now we're going to learn 4 different exercises today, and when we string those 4 along, we will create a nice little lick for you to be able to grind as the weeks go by learning this guitar lick. Remember, this is a 3-string sweep, not 4, not 5, not 6. So we're going to be focusing only on the high E, B, and G string. Let's go ahead and tune our guitars so that everything sounds the way it should, and do our favorite warm-up exercises as we have to get those fingers nice and warm. So go ahead, pick up your guitar, do your favorite warm-up exercise, and we'll be back right about now. Now that we are nice and warm, we are going to go in for a close-up where I will explain the mechanics behind sweep picking. Before actually learning these new patterns, we have to take a look at what makes up sweep picking. What are the mechanics behind this particular lesson, this particular sweep picking pattern? First of all, we have the pull-off hammer-ons, right? So right now, what I want you to do is simply dip your toes into the water. Get a feel for the mechanics first before actually implementing it in practice. Just try that out, if you're not familiar with hammer-ons and pull-offs, just, try that out. Just see how it feels, okay? Now moving on to the next mechanic, which is actually the right hand sweep itself. Sweep picking. Imagine you have a broomstick and you're cleaning the floor. You're sweeping the floor back and forth. Sometimes you go a little further, a little more back. You sweep the entire floor, you sweep half the floor. Sweep picking is basically the same thing. Let's just tilt this on its side. We slap a pick right here. This person is replaced by our hand, and the floor is replaced by strings. And so you're sweeping the strings on the fretboard, and you're playing each string consecutively. You're not sweeping a whole chord. Each note has to be played separately and clean. And we're back. So that is sweep picking. Alright, what I want you to do is to mute these strings with your left hand and then start picking away at these 3 strings. First of all, starting with a downstroke, and then going back up with a upstroke. First, really accent those downstrokes and upstrokes so that you get a feel of the sweep. Once you're done doing that, start to apply less pressure on those downstrokes and upstrokes. With sweeping, you have to really get that fluid motion, which means that you don't have to add a lot of attack when hitting the strings. It's actually just very fluid. The pick is all loosey-goosey between my thumb and finger. This would be doing it too hard. You gotta go slow, nice and slow. Alright, now that we got a feel for that, let's move on to the left hand string muting. With your left hand, you're going to mute the strings as you are consecutively playing them. So let's take a look at an example. I have started the sweep. I'm moving upwards. As I let go of that 13th note, my finger never loses contact with the string, therefore muting the string. Let's see what happens when I keep my finger on the fretboard without actually letting go of it slightly, but still making contact. This is what happens. What you want is to lift your finger a bit while still making contact, and then it's automatically muted. Let's take a look how that sounds. The flesh is touching the string still, but not pressing on it. And then as you go up to the third string, this finger is still making contact with the B string, the fleshy part, therefore muting it, but this finger is also not completely off the string, it's still making contact, okay? That would be the part of your left hand muting the strings so that it doesn't sound like a chord and more Now we have the right hand palm muting. Now this one can be a little tricky. I don't know if you can see by the looks of my skin and the callus that I've built, but I do a lot of muting when I'm soloing and also when I'm sweep picking. What happens is, in combination with your left hand muting and your right palm muting, you're achieving a very clean sound. When you're picking upwards in the sweep, you are using your left hand mostly to mute the strings. But when you're going back down, you can use the palm of your hand to mute the strings, and that adds to the clean sound of the sweep. It's very hard to explain, but I'll simply try to illustrate it right here with my hand. Imagine that I'm picking the strings, right? I'm doing this. As I'm picking each string, my palm is slowly touching G and B string. So I pick, shift, mute it, pick, shift, mute it. A way you can practice this is by playing the strings openly and trying to mute the strings only with your right palm hand. So for example, no palm muting, and now with palm muting. Let's move along with the actual exercises that we're going to learn for today, keeping in mind those mechanics. Exercise 1. We're starting off at the 17th fret on the high E. We're going to pull off to the 13th fret, go up to the B string, 15, 14 on the G, and cycle through that pattern. Now what's going to happen? You're going to downstroke the high E, pull off to 13, upstroke the B string 15, upstroke the G string 14, and then you're going to downstroke the B string again, and then downstroke the E string 13, and then repeat. While you are at the same time applying the mechanics, which are pulling off, hammering on, sweeping, right? Sweeping. By the way, when you're sweeping, try to sweep with your wrist. See how my wrist is moving? It's moving along as I sweep. I'm not doing this. I'm doing this. Alright? It really helps with the fluid motion that you want to achieve when sweep picking. And of course, left hand muting of the fretboard and right hand muting as you're downstroking. Alright? Now we're going to move on to exercise number 2. The placement of this exercise is almost the same as the first one. However, you're shifting almost all of the notes one fret down except for the 13th fret. So it goes as follows: 16, 13, 14 on the B string and 13 on the G string. The mechanics stay the same and the pattern itself actually stays the same. So the sequence is just cycling through it over and over. And now we're going to move on to exercise number 3. We shift over to 15, 11. So it goes 15, pull off 11, upstroke B string, 13th fret, upstroke G string, 12, and then downstroke the B, and then go to 11 downstroking, and then hammer on, pull off, and repeat. The same exact pattern as exercise number 2, except a little more down on the fretboard. We're shifting everything one note except for 11. Same pattern, same mechanics. If you follow the tabs that I've given you on screen, the full pattern or guitar lick, all the exercises stringed along together, should sound like this. Now that you know the notes, you know the mechanics, the question is, how do we go about practicing this efficiently so that we get to the point where we can actually say that we can sweep pick, right? From going to something like this to I will show you right now. First thing you're gonna need is your metronome. I'm using Pro Metronome. It's on the iTunes store, but you can find metronomes online. Just search it up on Google, and on Android I'm sure there are many different apps for a metronome. Once you have your metronome set up, you want to put, of course, a reasonable amount of BPM or beats per minute according to your level. If you are a beginner, you're going to want to start really slow. As an example, I've set it to 70 BPM. Play it. Hear the beat, and then practice with the metronome. You're going to want to do that for 5 to 10 minutes. You practice 5 minutes straight with that BPM. You take a break of about 1 or 2 minutes, start again 5 minutes, or you practice 10 minutes, take a break of a few minutes, start again 10 minutes. The way you want to practice is, you have to practice at a speed where what you're playing is 100% correct. So you want to play at a speed where you're making absolutely zero mistakes for say 5 or 10 minutes straight. Once you've done that, you will know that you have mastered that speed or that particular BPM to perfection. And then you can either bump it up to 1 BPM, which is really going into that fine-tuned detail of perfection, or you can raise it by 2, 3, 4, or 5 BPM. I wouldn't recommend raising it by 10 BPM because then you're going to a speed where you're going to make more mistakes. So let's just raise it by 5. And that's how you keep on going, escalating your BPM and reaching zero mistakes, and then you'll know you perfected that tempo. This will not take a day, it will not take 2 days, it will not take a week. If you're absolutely brand new to this, it's going to take a while. It's going to take determination, discipline, and patience. This is where patience comes in. The thing about learning a new technique or a new lick or whatever is that you want something fun to play. Of course, you sometimes have to go through a grind of very basic, sometimes boring exercises, but I hope that I've stringed along a nice few exercises for you that translate to a lick melody that is worth repeating a million times over. Remember that with anything in life, any desired skill, all it is an uphill battle. So no matter what, keep that determination, keep that discipline, keep that patience, and you will reach the desired skill that you want. Thank you so much for tuning in on this video. Thanks for watching all the way through. If you want to talk sweep picking, leave a comment down below. Remember to like and subscribe to keep up with my content. Future licks, future guitar lessons, let's talks. If you have fellow guitar mates who are starting to learn sweep picking, do share this video with them. Remember, keep on rocking, keep up the discipline, determination, patience, and I will see you all next time on another guitar lesson.